I am disabled myself. I've been disabled my whole life. I was very lucky. I beat a very rare type of cancer as a child, and that left me with a paralyzed right leg. Then at the age of 15, a complication of the treatment combinations caused my spine to collapse the morning before my German O-level, which was nice. So I was sent to school because my mum thought I would be trying to get out of going to school because I hadn't studied. Instead, I'd been at Gary Newman's farewell concert the night before. But actually, it was quite serious. And I came out a full-time wheelchair user. So I have lived all of my life as a disabled person. But what's really funny is in the last 5 years, I have also discovered that I have a form of dyslexia, which I had no idea I had, and also that I have ADHD. Which explains lots of things about my life and my upbringing. And I had many things that I thought were just skill sets that I had that maybe other people didn't, that I now realize are part of my ADHD makeup. One of which was the ability to sit in school, do my homework while listening to my teacher and having a chat with whoever I was sitting next to. Whenever the teacher would shout, "You, what did I just say?" I could totally repeat what they had said, word for word, while continuing to write. So it's not all bad. When I became a wheelchair user, I really lived in a society that wasn't very accessible, wasn't very inclusive, and really hadn't got any hope for a future. I tried a few jobs, but because there was no law around equality and no understanding about disability, they didn't last very long. So I was put on benefits and told I was unemployable, at which point I started following my dream, which was to be a musician, which is why I have all these keyboards behind me. And that in turn led to a career in television, and I was a TV presenter. So anyone over the age of 40 might remember me as a presenter on your television. I was one of the first sort of disabled celebrity type people. And then, as all television jobs come to an end one day, I retrained to be an EDI expert, focusing originally on the built environment, but then realizing that actually there's so much more to do. So I focused on training and education. I now am at FAB. And one of the things that FAB has put at the core, and one of the things I'm promoting at the core, is the social model of disability. Now, we've heard it mentioned a couple of times, but what is it? Well, the thing is, models of anything are created to give us an understanding of what it means to be something in a society. They're around identity. They're around the way the society explains what it is to be other than you. So there are models of all different elements of humanity and societal norms, and disability is just one of them. And the one that we usually have is the model of disability called the medical model, which basically says, I am a list of medical conditions. I'm a list of things I cannot do. For example, I cannot walk. And that will therefore limit the things I can do. And really, the only way to undo my disability is to cure me. If you can't cure me, you're going to need to look after me. And there will always be things that disabled people just have to go, right, that's it, I can't do. Like, I can't walk up steps. There's also another model called the individualistic model, which you will see a lot of coming up soon with the Paralympics, where people are saying, well, I might be disabled, but I'm going to overcome it and prove to you what I can do. And the way of explaining that is I would come up to a flight of stairs and I wouldn't be able to walk up them, but I could crawl and drag my chair up after me. And that's something you see online quite a lot, people wheeling up and down stairs and crawling and stuff. And it's sort of saying, if you don't try to fit in with society, then it's your fault if you can't join in. And then there is, of course, the social model, which really came out of various other ways of exploring what being disabled, well, being a group means. And what it has said is, yes, there are being disabled or having impairments, the word that the social model uses to describe what we usually call disabilities, is part of nature, it's part of life, it's part of humanity. And so what is it that disables us? Well, it's the fact that society is built predominantly for a very narrow type of group of people that we would possibly call normal, he says in inverted commas, but that seem to fit a medical textbook, that are functioning the way you're meant to. And so what happens is the society throws up barriers in your way if you don't function that way. The reason why this matters is because the other ways of thinking, whether it be the medical, the individualistic, or the charity model, all say it's kind of your problem that you can't interact. And it's kind of just part of the way it is. And so if you're not cured, then you're probably going to need charity. And if you don't try hard, you won't be able to fit in at all. Whereas the social model says it's all of our responsibilities to find a way round these barriers and to lessen them and to get rid of them if possible. And so, going back to the stairs equivalent, you could easily say, well, why do we need stairs? We're going to need a lift as well, aren't we? Why do we have a step into a building? Why couldn't we have a ramp that would be fine for everybody? And that's, in a nutshell, what we're talking about. So the social model says we can make a better tomorrow than today, and we can make a more inclusive tomorrow than today. So it means that the concept of disability will eventually disappear, and it will only become a kind of list of differences that we live in. And that's the goal of people like myself, is to build ways of leaving this legacy that I talk about, so the next generation of disabled people are tooled up with the skills they need to go out and support everybody out there to build a better society, until one day we aren't needed at all because our work has been done.